Kia ora, good evening. Solid Energy has announced it intends to sell its Mataura briquette plant as the company cuts costs and moves to focus on coal. A Solid Energy spokesperson says discussions are underway with Australian company GTL Energy around the future of the plant, but could not go into details about what those talks entail or whether it is a potential buyer. Sarah Bedford spoke to Gore District Mayor Tracy Hicks about what the sale of the plant could mean for the area.
Well, I guess it's going to be operating as per normal, maybe just a different owner and a different operator that's running it. So I guess it's going to be a bit of a wait and see. It is a real shame that things have happened the way they have with Solid Energy, but the resource is still out there, and in my view, that at some point in time it will be developed. So into something. So it's a bit of a wait and see.
Are you concerned about what it could mean economically?
I think there's. Yeah, it's disappointing that there is going to be such a delay in any projects that come from the lignite resource. In terms of the briquetting plant, I think it's just business as usual, really.
Now, with that plant, Solid Energy is in a joint partnership with Australian company GTLA. Are you hoping that they will look to buy?
My understanding is that they're a fairly large shareholder now, and they're the organisation or the as I understand it, the brains trust behind the development of the plant, so it's probably a good fit.
Now, in terms of this plant, what do you think the impact or worth for the region is from having it there?
Oh, I think it's good. It was always set up as a pilot plant just to see what the potential of briquettes were. So time will tell how they go, but it's great to have it there and good to have it operating.
Have you heard much public reaction on the situation yet?
I think there was quite a lot of public reaction in the earlier days of this year when the drama was really unfolding with Solid Energy. Last few days I haven't heard too much.
Now, Solid Energy has also indicated that they intend to sell some of the farmland that they own around the area as well. What do you see happening with that?
That's going to be a really interesting one to watch and just see who the new owners are and to what size shareholder stakeholders they have in the community. It's a big chunk of land that Solid Energy owns, and we're very interested to see who, if any, new owner might be and just what their attitude to development will be and their willingness or otherwise to work with the council.
Is there limitations on what they would be allowed to do with that land?
Oh, I'm sure there will be lots of limitations, absolutely. But there is a huge resource underneath the ground that a lot of people wish to develop in some way.
Now, in terms of the briquette plant, if GTLA was not interested, are you confident that there would be another company that would want to pick that up?
Oh, look, I don't know. GTLE are the ones that have had a real long-term involvement. They are the people that know how it operates, so they would be the obvious ones. But yeah, that's not my forte.
Government has announced 113,000 New Zealanders will become shareholders in Mighty River Power following its share offer. The final price of shares is $2.50. Of the shares issued, 86.5% will be New Zealand owned, made up of New Zealand retail investors, New Zealand institutions, and the Crown will retain 51% shareholding. 13.5% will be available to overseas institutions. The share offer will raise $1.7 billion with proceeds to go into the Future Investment Fund. More details will be announced in next week's budget. The company will list tomorrow. The effects of drought will be seen for several years as farmers overcome a 70-year event which saw the entire North Island declared a drought zone. The impacts of climatic challenges was one of the topics being discussed by Southland Federated Farmers members at the organisation's annual general meeting in Invercargill today. I spoke to National President Bruce Wells, who says income for sheep and cattle farmers could be half that of last year.
We as farmers constantly balance feed supply, feed demand, and the feed supply hasn't been there because of these extraordinary dry conditions. Some farmers choose to buy in feed. Most sheep and cattle farmers prefer to sell rather than buy in feed, whereas dairy colleagues do it the other way around. They try and hang on to stock and buy in feed. So yeah, we've just, as it's the feed budgets have looked a bit sad, we've just kept offloading stock. So that's been happening now in some North Island areas for 6-7 months. So you can drive a long way in many parts of the country and see very few stock. So it's going to hurt the economy.
Let's just talk about feed for a minute. Feed budget's all very well, but you haven't got feed being grown in the region. How do they overcome that?
Simply, as I say, if you can't get the feed in, you have to destock. Federated Farmers, we've been involved with quite a big exercise, which bringing feed from the South Island to North Island on ships. Again, something that's quite extraordinary. Feed normally comes through by truck transport, and that's been operating flat tack for many months. But we simply got some congestion in Wellington. Just not enough trucks, ships full up. So we filled up containers, and to date, some 220,000 small bale equivalents we have facilitated from South Island to North Island to help these North Island feed farmers.
In monetary terms, can you put a figure on what it might cost the average farmer?
Sure. Beef and lamb have come out with some figures, expecting in broad terms sheep and cattle farm incomes to be about half of where they have been, and that's a combination. Lambs, which is the biggest sort of income crop for many of us, schedule price down by 1/3 from last year, so a whole sort of 30 odd percent. That's a big hit. On top of that, of course, we're selling them at lighter weights, and other beef's been back, wool's been back as well. So it's going to bite into a balance sheet for a couple of years yet.
Rams have been out. Are we expecting to see that there'll be an impact on lambing percentages next year?
Listen, there will. We wait with some interest. Beef and Lamb do a mid-season update, and what I guess we're concerned about is certainly how many capital ewes particularly have gone to the works. That's a worry for future lamb crop. Also, just an indication from farmers. It's early days yet because rams sort of for a lot of us have only just gone out. But my pick would be a lamb crop down about 10% from last year. 10%. If it's down 10%, that'll put us to the lowest lamb crop we've seen in this country since the 1950s.
After the break, how a new initiative in the south could help improve road safety in the region. Welcome back. The launch of a new teaching toolkit aimed at educating children under 5 about road safety is underway in the south this week. Globally, 1/4 of road deaths each year are pedestrians, and in Southland, a new initiative is seeing Road Safety Southland, Police, Plunket and Kindergarten South teach children how to stay safe on their feet. The launch of Bright Sparks Week ties in with the United Nations Global Road Safety Week with a focus on pedestrian safety. Bright Sparks is a collective initiative that's led by Road Safety Southland after they identified a need for road safety teaching resources for under 5s.
It's all about being bright sparks, so we want the kids to look bright, be bright, stay bright, and so we're modelling really good things that they can do. One of the obvious ones is make sure that you click when you get in the car, and you start having that self-responsibility, making sure that they hear the click, but also listen for mum and dad's clicks as well and tell them if they hear them or tell them if they don't.
The Bright Sparks Toolkit includes teaching materials and books with road safety messages and is being launched this week with a purposeful interactive roadshow. The roadshow is visiting 15 kindergartens over the week, each receiving the same messages and a take-home pack for parents. The theme fits in nicely with the police Safer Journeys strategy, and Constable Brooke Armishaw says the sooner small children learn how to cross safely, the better.
Getting kids to be aware themselves and take that personal responsibility to be seen, be bright, hence the name of the program, Bright Sparks down here, and just being safe around roads so we don't have those tragedies.
Fun-filled and interactive activities are helping to drive the message home.
It's keeping the message simple so they retain it and think, they come to a road, what do I need to remember? I need to have an adult, hold their hands, I need to stop, I need to look what's going on and listen for what's coming as well.
Manager Catherine Implemans of Plunket is undertaking safety checks of car seats at kindergartens over the week and also provided an interactive activity for the roadshow.
The driveway backing kit belongs to Plunket, and we use that and have it available for any family to borrow or any community group to borrow, just to heighten awareness of safety.
It's a useful tool that works for both children and adults.
The driveway backing kit is a tool to teach everybody how hard it is to see children behind and beside vehicles.
The Bright Sparks Toolkit has been well received, and it's hoped the teaching resource that's making youngsters aware of how to be safe on their feet could be offered to other early childhood providers in the future. Margot Sutherland, South Today News. Invercargill Public Library will see several changes coming into effect from this weekend following a recent review of staff and services. A restructure was announced last November, with services being looked at due to changes in technology and library lending trends. As part of the changes, opening hours will be extended from this weekend, and staff are re-tagging the entire collection of books for a self-checkout unit. The library is also considering extending its range of e-books. Manager Marianne Foster says the library is working with an architect to create more usable space on the ground floor as part of refurbishment plans. Invercargill's Weta population was getting some new housing today. As part of a school environmental action day, around 30 James Hargest College junior pupils made 10 Weta motels, which they placed around Thompson's Bush this afternoon. Environment Southland Education Officer Mark Oster says the idea was to encourage interaction in their own environment, and it could help Weta numbers, although it's not known how many live in that area. New Zealand has 70 types of Weta, 17 of these are endangered. He hopes the project will encourage further monitoring and work in the future. Southland women got some expert fashion advice while also raising money for Plunket last night. Around 220 women were at the What a Woman Wants show in Invercargill, fronted by fashion stylist Lisa O'Neill. The show's touring the country to raise funds for Plunket and covers a range of areas from body shapes to accessories and makeup. Plunket Southland Area President Nikki White says the event raised roughly $3,500 for the organisation locally. She says this will mostly be spent on costs to run programs in Invercargill. And that's it from news. Coming up in sport, action from the state 2013 New Zealand Division 2 competition from the news team. Good night.